How have you been?
Oh,
How's
look.
everything going?
Yeah, I've been doing all right, I suppose.
Yeah,
Just getting by like everyone else is, really.
yeah. How has your lockdown been? How have you been finding it?
Um, I suppose the same as everyone else. You're used to it, really. This is the
Mm.
normal at the minute, isn't it? Until Monday, so
Yeah,
I'd say I'm completely used to it now. Yeah, I
looking
don't
forward
think
to getting back out there.
Yeah, I'm ready for my life to come back now.
I was going to ask actually. One of the things I had down to ask you was because obviously you're, I guess, quite relatively speaking, quite new to the wrestling game in terms of being in the ring and everything.
Yeah.
How did it feel to sort of really be making those moves that climb up the ladder and then the pandemic hit? As someone again who was quite fresh with just starting to make your way up and then having to stop for so long.
Yeah, it was really rough at first to realise that because we had some really cool stuff planned for the rest of the year. We just come back from WXW, which was the biggest thing we'd done to date. Um, and, we thought we're ready now to take it to the next level and really make 2020 our year. And then it was gone like that. So, yeah, it hit us pretty hard once we realised. But it wasn't just us, though, was it? Everybody else lost their work. So I suppose it's a bit easier in that regard. So, yeah.
Sure, yeah. Well, what were you doing sort of aside from wrestling? Were you doing anything else like on the side?
No.
Just fully focused on that?
Yeah, I was just fully focused on my wrestling.
So
I was lucky enough to do it full time and get by. So yeah,
I guess that makes it tougher, doesn't it? Especially when the guys that I guess don't do it full time, may even if they assuming people hadn't been furloughed, things like that, may have had something to fall back on or may have had something else to do, keep them busy.
Yeah, I mean, before I ever did wrestling, I did just have a normal job. I just used to work in a pub kitchen, just like your average thingy. So luckily, when wrestling ended, I took the initiative and I said, "I'll go do that and make some extra money." While I can't wrestle. So yeah, so it was kind of going back to really normal life for me.
How was that? How was that feeling? Sort of going back to, I guess, what you'd call like a normal job.
Yeah, it was weird at first, like weird, but I had a lot of good memories there. From when it was my first job I ever had, so I had a lot of good memories, and it was once I got used to it, the feeling of being like, it's a really nice environment is the best way I can describe it. Luckily it was a place with a really good atmosphere and a good group of people that work there. So once I got there, I kind of thought, I've missed this a little bit.
So, I imagine sort of doing that sort of thing, especially in a pub kitchen, which I imagine is quite busy. I imagine it's like a different kind of pressure to being in the ring.
Yeah, so lockdown kind of ended in the summer, and the pubs reopened. There wasn't any of this only outdoor allowed. So smack bang in the summer, and everyone was ready to go. And being in a pub kitchen in the summer is the absolute worst. It is horrific. You can lose like 10 pounds of water weight just from standing there. It's horrific.
Yeah, I was going to say, I see people like kitchen work generally, and while I love food and I enjoy like a little bit of cooking myself, I don't think I could ever work in a kitchen. Just the hours and the pressure that it puts on you. I see it on TV. I'm just like, I couldn't do that. I don't know how people do that. So
and you can't, when it's so warm in there because you've got microwaves, everything blowing out. You can't wear shorts or anything because of health and safety and stuff. You've got you full clothes on, so you're just sweating through it all. So it's a bit different from being, half naked in the middle of a ring. So
did it make you miss it more?
Yeah, I remember just being stood there like, good God, I want my life back.
And so obviously, wrestling obviously is not fully back yet, but there's a little sense of normality. Obviously, you've been back with progress. We'll talk about the NPS in a second, but first of all, I guess how was it to just be back in the ring, but also without fans? What was that like?
Yeah. When we got to the venue, it felt great. It felt like some sort of normality, and thought, it's still wrestling. There aren't fans. You just get in there and you just do your thing. But I think once you come and you do your entrance, you realise this is really weird.
Because it's a performance, isn't it, overall? Isn't it? You're performing for the fans, and so when the fans aren't there, it's...
And once you get in and you start, taking these bumps and whatnot, when there's no fans, you're on your own. You go at your own pace and stuff now. But when you're taking these bumps and there's nobody to kind of will you on, especially with it being the first match I did, the first proper match I did for months. It was a bit of a shock at first. I thought, good God, this is really hard without fans, like really, really hard. But once you kind of get into the groove of it, it becomes like second nature, really. You kind of forget that the fans aren't there and you just go for it. So you have to be aware of, have we been on the floor for too long and things like that. When's the right time to come up? If someone was just watching, as people were just watching on the network and watch stuff on a screen, they're probably going to be a bit bored now if we're just sat on the floor for ages. Trying to imagine as if there was someone clapping as now's the time. It doesn't work like that once there's no fans. You have to kind of figure out the right timings for stuff.
Yeah, sure. And let's talk about the NPS as well. How, obviously, getting into the start of it, I mean, obviously, Progress had pre-taped it all before it went out on the network. So when was the moment sort of you found out that you were going to be winning?
I think it was a couple of months in advance. Okay. Yeah, it was quite early on.
You got time to build for it and prepare for it.
Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't. Yeah, we had gyms open when we we first kind of got the plans laid out, and then everything shut again. So I was getting ready for it, and then things shut again. Things get delayed. So. Yeah, it was quite early in advance. It just kept getting pushed back.
Yeah.
So.
No, sure. And I was going to ask you about the guys you were in there with, obviously. You faced Warren Banks in the final. There are a bunch of really strong, young, up-and-coming competitors in the NPS this year. And I guess the thing that sort of made me sort of smile about it was the fact that, you see a lot on Twitter, especially with the pandemic. So many other indie guys have been signed up to NXT UK, gone to America, things like that. And you always get the whole talk on Twitter, like BritWres is dead, etc., all that sort of thing. Yeah. But does that sort of give you that hope that, there is this such a great breed of young talent coming up in BritWres still, that you know that when shows come back fully, there's going to be such great matches to have and fans to see it?
Yeah, I'm looking, when I see those tweets, BritWres is dead and whatnot, it doesn't mean anything to me. But things move on. Generations move on. It's just the way it is. That generation of British wrestling all did wonderful things. The people that they're referring to that are gone when they say British is dead, they did wonderful things for the scene, and now they've gone on to, and now they're doing bigger and better things that they fully deserve. And it's just time for the next. If people want to be British is dead, or I don't see the future of it, it's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but. When shows do come back, I think they'll get a shock when they see the standard and quality of wrestling they are going to get. Just because it's younger guys that haven't been around as long. I think they'll think some people are going to get proven wrong.
Hopefully so. And continuing with the NPS, obviously you won it. You've got to face Cara Noir. What was that like? Because he's had a sort of quite a quick rise out of he'd been on the scene a long time before he got that big push. And he got that big push in Progress, and he's obviously now the top guy. And what was it like to be able to face him?
As soon as I finished, I suppose you can quote me, Cara Noir is probably the best wrestler I've ever wrestled, without a doubt. He is the most professional person I've ever met when I've wrestled. He's completely selfless. He's a lovely guy. And I thought, when I found out I was wrestling him, I was kind of a bit taken aback by it, because I've seen him do all these cool things in such quick progression, because he just skyrocketed kind of out of nowhere. And you watch him, and he was having match of the night after match of the night after match of the night. So I thought, I'm gonna have to step my game up when I wrestle him. And when I instantly got in there with him, I could feel you can feel someone's ability and how good they are. So yeah, he's unbelievable. Yeah.
Is it someone that yourself, loads of other young guys coming through? Is that someone that you can sort of look to for that inspiration? Because like we mentioned, his rise with it's not like he just suddenly became a good wrestler overnight. He'd always had those consistent matches.
Great, yeah.
And I think I don't know if it was exactly but obviously in my mind it seemed like he really got that push after his match at Riptide with Pac.
Yeah, that is the one I think of when I think of his.
And that's when people really sat up and went like, "Oh, this guy has got something." Does that give yourself and the other guys that idea that as long as you keep at it, keep consistent, people are going to notice the quality at some point?
Yeah, good. He's like because he has been around for a long time, and he is someone that the younger guys can wrestle, can learn from to really, take the next step and get to that next level of being a wrestler. So it's good to have someone like him around who is just a complete professional. And I think he's really going to be one of, if not the top guy of British wrestling.
No, for sure. And again, someone else that I guess you've been learning from recently as well is Chris Ridgway.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone, again, sort of similar question, but as someone coming up, getting started, coming through the ranks, how good is it to have those sort of guys, on your side, being able to learn from them and bring you through?
Yeah, I mean, someone like Chris, outside wrestling, he's a good close friend of mine. And I've known him for quite a few years now, and his kind of knowledge is so smart when it comes to wrestling. Like, he's definitely one of the wrestlers that can give you the knowledge, like a Cara Noir, that can take your ability to the next level and give you the little things that turn you from a good wrestler to a great wrestler. And to constantly have his advice on things is definitely, like, I feel really lucky is the best way I can explain it, to have these guys around.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And obviously, well, it's going out soon on the network, but you're facing him tonight at Progress.
Yeah. Considering we're supposed to be teammates, I'm facing way too much.
I was going to say, what is it? Is it harder sort of being on the same team as him or being up against him?
I mean, being on the same team with him is great because he's an animal, but wrestling him is great as well because he's just, there is no take it easy. You have to give it everything when you're wrestling because he is, like Cara, he is a pro. And you give it all you've got against him. He's one of them, there's no, I can't, it's hard to explain. You have to be switched on when you're wrestling. And then that's why I like wrestling him, because it definitely pushes you and it challenges you. Because he's such an intense guy in the ring.
Sure.
So yeah.
No, sure, absolutely. And I mean, sort of moving forward, I guess, first short-term future, obviously we don't really know what the future of wrestling is going to be over here at the minute because of the pandemic still going on. Yeah. But I don't know if you know anything in terms of, I guess, Progress simply, even if you can't say, do you know, have they got more stuff planned that you're going to be part of and going to be able to actually wrestle a bit more? Is there going to be quite a big gap now for you before the next event?
I believe we've got a couple more tapings planned, but other than that's all I know. Yeah, sure. I don't really know anything on the future side of stuff.
No, sure. I think it's tricky, isn't it? I think, I guess, what do you make of that in terms of Brit Rest coming back? Because obviously, I don't know if it was good timing or bad timing in a way, but obviously you had the pandemic hit, and then Speaking Out came as well, which is obviously hugely important and very important for people to get those messages out there. But after that, in terms of companies coming back, it seems to be like there's a bit of, I guess, almost concern about coming back too soon for people, both with the pandemic and that. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think, obviously, I don't want companies to rush back into things and just be like, as soon as they get a date, they're like, let's go for it. But I think the promotions that are coming back when they can are very professionally run companies. They're doing everything they can. Fans don't know everything that goes on, and as far as the backstage stuff, and these promotions are doing everything they can, everything. So I think the ones that have got it together, it's good. And if fans, I think it's too soon and they don't want to come, that's fine. That's not a problem. But then the ones that do want to come and are ready for wrestling to come back, and there they go, they can come.
No, sure, absolutely. Well, no, well said. And then the long term, I guess, for you for the future. What are having won the NPS now? That's a really big push for you. What are you hoping to achieve in the next sort of 6 months, year, couple of years?
I did the NPS and I did the title match. That was kind of my single stuff in progress, but really I just want to focus on tag wrestling now. Me and Ethan just want to kind of take the tag team by storm over here. There's not many tag teams really over here, I don't think, that I can, think of the top of my head. So we kind of just want to make it our division really, and that's our focus.
Sure. Have you got a bunch of, have you got many tag teams that you'd like to face them on your way up, as you continue to rise?
There is a lot. It depends how. I think Aussie Open, we need to face them because they were kind of the guys of European British tag wrestling. And I think it would be great to face them. That I can't really think of anyone else that comes to mind instantly, but it's definitely them that come to mind.
Yeah, they're the big ones, aren't they?
Because we kind of wanted. I remember there was a picture of Mark and Kyle, and they had every tag belt of every major promotion in Europe, and I kind of seen that and thought, well, that's the goal. So to face them, that'd be pretty cool.